Good morning and welcome. This is News Central TV. I am Mazino. The top stories this hour. 16 Nigerian governors endorse creation of state police. Ugandan President Museveni names son as army chief. Algeria to hold presidential vote in September. Rising security, 16 governors endorse creation of state police. Now we begin in the news at this hour with reports of 16 state governors endorsing the establishment of state police due to the security challenges facing the country. The National Economic Council, NEC, disclosed this on Thursday in a report submitted to the Council at its 140th meeting held virtually and chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima. The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, who briefed State House correspondents virtually after the meeting, said out of the 36 states, 20 state governors and the FCT were yet to make their submission. However, he did not mention the states. The governors who submitted their memos also called for the review of the Nigerian constitution. And in the meantime, several residents of Benin City, Edo State, located in Nigeria's southern region, have expressed displeasure over the silence of the Nigerian police force following the murder of some police officers in neighboring Delta State. The residents who had protested to the State Police Command urged the leadership of the command to prevail on their counterparts to ensure the perpetrators are arrested and face the full wrath of the law. Amidst reports.
The residents took to the streets of Benin City to register their displeasure. They say the continuous silence of the police over the incidents in neighboring Delta State has become a source of worry.
It is very, very sad, sardonic and melancholic that the highest echelon of the Nigeria police force have decided of their own volition to maintain great silence. We don't know why they are taciturn on the issue. They are supposed to address the press, they are supposed to issue statements in condemnation of the act and call for assistance in terms of apprehending the perpetrators of the heinous crime. Just last week here, we heard how some military officers were killed in less than 2 hours. The military authority addressed the issue. We want to, so since the police have decided to maintain grave silence, that shows that the Inspector General of Police and the first PRO are incompetent.
The State Commissioner of Police, while receiving the protesters, assured them that the matter had not been laid to rest.
It was an unfortunate incident. However, it's a serious matter. It saddened our heart, including that of the AIGP, where most of the officers were working.
He commended the protesters for standing by the police, saying the police will continue to partner with Edo people.
What we have done today, you have actually beat our imagination. Now I know you better. Now I know Edo State people better, especially on protests. It is your right to protest, and the Inspector General of Police has always warned us that people are free to protest. The police will even guide you. We will give you protection so that hoodlums will not hijack such a protest. Thank you. No, we were not informed of this one. It's a peaceful one. Please, and please, give us 24 hours. You will see the response.
The protesters also visited the state headquarters of the Nigeria Union of Journalists. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amidst.
Now, bandits have attacked about 9 communities in the Apa local government area of Benue State, north-central Nigeria, killing and setting houses on fire. It was gathered that the communities have become deserted as residents who survived the attack, which began a few days ago, have fled for their lives. While some locals have gave the casualty figures at 25, the lawmakers representing the area in the State Assembly, Abu Umuru, said he has lost count of the casualties. According to the lawmakers, about 95% of communities in the local government have become desolate following the constant attacks. The governor of Delta State, South Nigeria, Sheriff Ogbuefiore, has cautioned traditional rulers in the state against shielding suspects involved in the killing of 4 military officers and 13 soldiers in Okwama community, Ugeli South local government area of the state. Governor Werevere gave the warning when he addressed traditional rulers on the unfortunate incident at the State Traditional Rulers Council Secretariat in Asaba, the state capital. The governor, who said that the act was alien to the state, described it as barbaric, inhumane, and unacceptable, and pledged that those who committed the evil act must be made to face the full wrath of the law. Responding, Chairman Delta State Traditional Rulers Council, His Royal Majesty Major General Felix Ujakpwero, retired, said that the security of various kingdoms would dovetail to the security of the state and the nation, even as he called for a judicial panel of inquiry to unravel the immediate and remote cause of the crisis.
As still within our communities, expose them. Then your community will be free. All of us will be free. Let our states continue to enjoy peace. I pray that this phase is go off. I want to assure you again that no innocent community or anybody is innocent that will be victimized or will be attacked or anything. You staff assured me that any community that is not involved, but when you harbor anybody, don't harbor them, expose them. Better to expose them. Give us information to get them arrested.
Nobody, no criminal owner would like to shield criminals because we know the implication of shielding such people. It will bring disaster to our kingdom. And that is what we will work with the government to make sure that peace is returned to that community and peace is returned to Delta State.
And now, ex-insurgents undergoing rehabilitation in Borno State, north-central Nigeria, are dreaming of being reintegrated into the society, even as they hope for entrepreneurial engagements. They voiced out their aspirations during a peace-building visit by the recently awarded Peace Ambassador Advocates in Borno State by the International Peace Federation, with the support of British Council and Borno State government. News Central's correspondent Umaru Kirawa, who had an extensive discussion with some of the former insurgents, revealed that they are expressing remorse for their past actions and are eager to contribute to society's progress. Their voices spoke volumes about their collective desire to participate constructively in their communities. And joining us on the news to unpack this is Ahmed Shehu. He is the president and founder, Peace Ambassadors Center for Humanitarian Aid and Empowerment, and chairman, CSO Northeast. You're welcome. Good to have you on the show today. Now, I've got a question for you. How are local communities in Borno responding to the presence of ex-insurgents, and are the ongoing rehabilitation and integration, how are they responding to this? And are there any challenges or concerns that need to be addressed therein? I'm hoping that you can hear me.
Hello?
Yes, please. Did you hear me there?
Yeah, please, can you,
Good.
can you say that again?
I just
I
asked
missed the question, please.
Yes. I just asked how the local community in Borno State is responding to the presence of these ex-insurgents and how this rehabilitation and integration process is actually affecting them, and if there are any challenges or concerns that they need to address before.
Well, thank you for this very great opportunity. From us as a civil society, within these 14 years of insurgency, we sat down and we reflected. We said we need to come on board to see that we play our role toward ensuring that we complement the effort of the government and other stakeholders. This is what led us to come up with an initiative on how to ensure that we achieve this objective, especially based on the question you mentioned. We went into partnership with the Borno State government under the Ministry of Information and Women Affairs and also the British Council to come up with an initiative to address this concern you just pointed out. And one thing we observe is about the youth. considering that 70% of the perpetrators of the violence and also those people that have also being affected by the insurgency are the youth. So we said, how can we get in touch with the youth so that they will be part of this process? So this when we came up with the process where we now carefully recruited 100 youth and we make them to be a youth advocate, of which one of your reporter in the Northeast here, Kirawa, happened to be one of the vibrant youth we identified to make them process of how to ensure we have the peace. As you can see in the screen here, Kirawa is seated. These are the insurgents. I think some of us will be surprised that it's Kirawa you are seeing seated in the midst of this repentant insurgent and then talking to them on how they can be able to live in peace in their communities. So the theory of change here is what we understood. We need to work with the youth in order to also solve the problem that are caused by the youth.
So in working with the youth and this these provision of opportunities now, what impact exactly is it going to have when it comes to sustainable peace in that region?
Well, as you know, looking at over 100,000 of them that have been repentant and looking at the effort of the Borno State Governor Zulum on this process where he now offered them the olive branch for them to come and live in the community in peace. This will translate into a lot of development in the community. Now people can be able to go back to their farms and farm, and then community will now live in peace, and then the economic activity will now pick up, considering that previously people hardly go to farm, and those that can be able to go, they hardly farm beyond 5 kilometers, perimeters in their farms now. But with this development, even the level of attack that is happening along the major road has really subsided. The killings that is happening has also subsided. So gradually this will translate to more freedom, human rights respect, and then economic development in the communities in Borno State.
So talking about the efforts of these international organizations like peace ambassadors and the British Council, what role will it play in supporting this peace-building efforts in Nigeria as a whole? Well, let's be specific now, maybe even Borno State.
Well, one of the questions we're trying to find an answer to now that we're all working with, just like yesterday by this time, our team together with Kirawa, we went and then we had, with the support of the government, we sat down and we had an honest discussion with them, urging them and then asking them to now identify their means of livelihood, because where they are now is a transition camp and they will now be sent back to the community. So before they go back to the community now, all the stakeholders need to sit down and then identify how can we be able to support these people, especially in the means of livelihood, because for you as an individual, for you to exist in every community, you must have a means where you will be getting your daily source of income so that to address your expenditures. So with this development, majority of them have been honest enough to tell us what they've been doing before joining this clique, and after this now what they used to do while they were in the bush, and now what they want plan to do toward ensuring that the economic of they contribute their own quota toward the economic development of the state. Having said this, the tax is very enormous for any single individual to handle. Borno State government, alone cannot be able to handle this. I think the federal government, the Northeast Development Commission, other critical stakeholders need to come on board, especially the private sectors. Now you have a full of young people who have become expert in their own choosing field of career, even while they were at the bush. You have someone who can couple and then manufacture gun. What do you do to these kind of persons? We need to stream them since they have repented to the normal society. We need to give them the necessary training that's required to make them to fit the purpose so that they can be able to contribute to the economic development of their state. As I said, our advocacy as a civil society and based on our interaction with them is the tax is very enormous. Large resources is required, both technical in terms of capacity building and then in terms of seed grant, in terms of agriculture, in terms of security for them to go and contribute.
Okay, so Ahmed, you spoke about private sector getting involved. I hope we still have you there. Hello, Ahmed, do we still have you? Unfortunately, we have lost Ahmed, but thank you for joining us in any case. We've got more news for you. Now, moving on. Some residents of Kaduna State have expressed doubt over the possibility of a rescue of the kidnapped victims in Kuriga and Kajuru areas of Kaduna State, despite the deployment of over 200 police personnel. They spoke to our correspondent in Kaduna town, saying previous rescue efforts have not yielded any positive result, but rather seen families of victims ending up still paying ransom. Marvelous Obomanu has more in this report.
With the announcement of the deployment of troops to rescue those kidnapped by bandits in the Kuriga and Kajuru local government areas of Kaduna State, it is expected that citizens will heave a sigh of relief, expressing excitement at the information. It is remaining just 13 days before the 20 days ultimatum given by these bandits comes to an end. Government is still insisting they will not negotiate with the bandits. About 200 police personnel have been deployed to these local government areas, but will more boots on the ground help in the rescue of these abducted school children and other victims abducted by these bandits? We're here on the streets to find out.
It's really a pathetic situation, having your loved one outside, far away from you. With this rate or the measure the government is taking, to me personally, I think we're just looking to the intervention of God.
These 20 days where they give, if not government not do something about of this, anything will happen now. These people, they don't feel secure their family. Maybe they'll leave them there, or the bandits kill them, or we don't know how the thing will do.
I don't think paying the ransom is the way forward here. Because if we keep paying ransom, these kidnappings will still continue.
It's really affecting all Kaduna State because we don't know where it will be tomorrow. If they kidnap some near you, then the next person will be you, I think. Some of the residents say they believe that government has intelligence information of the location of the bandits, but wonder why they have not been dislodged.
The government and all the government officials, they know where these bandits are. They cannot say they don't know where these bandits are. They know where these bandits are. They should curb this banditry. It's been very long that this is happening itself. I don't know. But government is not considering anything about them. All these bandits, they really are like the government know where they are from. They know many things about them. Though the Kaduna State government says it is intensifying efforts to rescue the kidnapped victims, calls have also been made to residents to support security agencies with available information. In Kaduna for News Central, I am Marvelous Obomanu.
And Nigeria's federal government has approved the repair of about 60 kilometers of the failed section of the Benin-Lokoja Expressway following intervention from stakeholders of All Progressive Congress from the state. Nigeria's Minister of Works, while meeting with the contractors in Abuja, says that the approval was given by President Bola Tinubu, mandating that the road to be repaired immediately through a tax credit scheme with a completion date of 6 months. Amadin Uyi reports.
The delegation comprising stakeholders from the All Progressives Congress, including APC governorship candidates, had visited the Minister of Works in Abuja. Also in attendance were contractors handling the Benin-Lokoja road corridor.
The issue at stake here is the road from Lokoja down to Benin, where we have 4 sections. First section from Lokoja is handled by CGC. CGC is here. Second section is handled by Mother Cat. Mother Cat is here. The third section is handled by Dandata, so they're here. And then the last is handled by my very good friends, RCC. They're here too.
Party stakeholders revealed that the state of the road had become a problem for residents of the state, expressing delight that the federal government had listened to their pleas to commence repair of the road.
We in Edo State, for the past 2-3 governments, we lament year in, year out over the deplorable state of the road from Benin to Okene and even to Lokoja. And we noticed at a point They will do 1 kilometer, they will jump 3, they will do another kilometer. We've had to cry to Mr. President, who has listened to our cries, that first, we need to be able to go home. Our people need to be able to travel.
Well, with the Vice President on Friday last week, and this issue came up, we told him, sir, we don't know how we are going to campaign. We don't have a road. It's just pick his phone and call the minister. The minister said, I will be with you on Monday. And today is what? Today is Thursday, and magic is done. If this is how Nigeria works, everybody will want to come back home. Nobody wants to jump back.
The minister assured them that with the contractors present, the road will be completed on schedule.
Mr. President has approved that BUA PLC should do 30 kilometers of the routes in 3 different locations, multiplied by 2, and that's 60 kilometers under tax credit. And we procured, that. I'm sure by tomorrow, the PAM secretary, very hardworking PAM secretary, will be sending the document to BPP, having been approved by Mr. President.
The portions to be completed will also be fitted with concrete drainages and solar-powered street lights. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
And welcome back. More news this hour here on News Central. Now, the federal government, through the National Identity Management Commission, has inaugurated a steering committee on the Nigeria Digital Identification for the Development of Ecosystem Project. Secretary to the government of the Federation, George Akume, who led the inauguration of the steering committee in Abuja, said it signifies a pivotal step in Nigeria's commitments to achieving digital transformation and fostering inclusive development across the nation. He added that the project would revolutionize identification and access to service. On her part, Director General and Chief Executive Officer of NIMC, Abisoye Koka Odusote, said the Digital Identity Project is to drive socio-economic development and empower the citizens. Now, to discuss this further, I'm being joined by a public affairs analyst, Oladende Ario. You're welcome, sir. Good to have you.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm very fine, thank you. Nice of you to join us. So we've got a couple of questions for you. First question I'd be asking, what do you make of the inauguration of a steering committee by the NIMC for the Nigeria Digital Identification Project, adding to the already existing ones like the NIN, BVN, and other means of identification we already have?
Well, yesterday, when I saw the news report, I was laughing. When I say laughing, it wasn't the real laugh. I was crying, if you know what I mean. Why? Because that reflected incompetence and corruption. We already have passports. We have BVN. We have driver's license. We registered with telecom companies and so on. Even the permanent voter's card. Now, when you look at all of these bits and pieces, you will have expected a nation managed by competent people to know that, okay, if we want a uniform identification, we just have to merge all this together, okay? Instead of now creating another platform. Aren't we tired of wasting our scarce resources on things that will not aid national growth and development? In what ways are the people going to benefit? Especially where we are today, that inflation has practically taken off every income that people now manage to survive with. I would have expected government to think of something more beneficial, not this that I'll try to see or reason in what way are we going to benefit anything, and I couldn't see any. Beyond the fact that some people just want to make money of Nigeria. And remember that we still have plans to have sensors. So when you look at all of these things, it's very disturbing and annoying that you are in a society, in a country where people seem not to know their right from their left. And that's my position.
So you spoke about merging already existing formats that we already have. It's one thing to merge, it's another thing if they do work. So the question is, perhaps maybe the government is coming up with these new ideas because the existing ones are not providing the desired results, perhaps?
Well, there are apps in the marketplace that we can get off the shelf.
that can help us do that job. Alternatively, Nigerians here in Nigeria, living here, young people that I know who can write a functional app that can achieve that for us while cleaning up multiple entries, okay? And also ensuring accuracy at the end of the day. But the question you want to ask yourself again is, I mean, those in authority and in power, are they saying that they do not know that we have such human capital within us? And even if they don't know, can't we just go outside and look for an enterprise or individuals who can help us to achieve all of these things rather than now voting humongous sums of money for the same objective, and which for me is neither here nor there. It's not going to add any value to us. It's not going to aid our growth or development. Neither is it going to move us away from the economic doldrums that we're currently battling with. So it's best jettisoned. And then if they don't know what to do, let them call for memorandum. We will send the paper to them, telling them what to do and how to go about it.
So let's take a comparison between Nigeria, the Nigerian system, and outside the country. You've got social security numbers outside the country. It's like a digital footprint. Well, in Nigeria, do we get this system? Is it like what we're trying to perhaps maybe put into play here? And is it going to be as effective as what we have outside the country? Is it just the absence of the sheer willpower to get this thing right that we lack?
You know, on Tuesday, I was on a TV platform, and it was the same question. When are we going to get things right? We're asking the same question now. And I can tell you that this question has remained a part of our nomenclature even before independence. And the word that is commonly used is to say potential. Potential. 60 years plus after, we are still a potential country. Potential in farming, in agri, in aviation, now in identification. It's very disturbing because most nations that we started with, they've left us behind. There was a time that UAE came to borrow money from Nigeria to develop Dubai. Today, the economy of Dubai, the city alone, is much bigger than that of our country. And they are much more in a comfortable position when you look around infrastructure and other details. So now is the time for us to get it right. Tomorrow may be too late.
So do you have any suggestions, perhaps, or specific strategies that you could put forward or suggest for the NIMC so that they can ensure that the project does not result in wastage or, or duplication of efforts?
Well, I think the NIN then had a lot of input, and I think it was widely affected across the country because I was living in an estate then. They not only came with their system, their computer and other things to capture everybody in our estate, they also cover the community, and we were about 23 estates in that community. So if that was achievable, perhaps that may need cleaning up instead of now going to venture, okay, to now say you are doing digital. All the ones we did, are they now saying that they were analog? Because all of these things, they beg common sense, and you cannot just find an answer to it. So it's best we go back and all the ones we have done, let's clean them up and not go further with voting humongous, because by the time they will give you the figure now, it may come to $1 trillion, which we can ill afford at this time in our national economic life.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Oladende Ario. That was a good one with you. Welcome again. Now, the news continues in East Africa, where Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has appointed his son, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, as the country's army commander, a move that is likely to fuel speculation that the president is grooming his eldest child to succeed him. General Kainerugaba has been serving as a senior presidential advisor in charge of special operations after his father removed him as commander of the Army's land forces in 2022. He was promoted to his new post late Thursday in a cabinet reshuffle that saw 5 ministers sacked. He takes over from General Wilson Mbadi, who has been named as Trade Minister. 2 of General Kainerugaba's closest advisors were named ministers in the new changes announced by President Museveni. And heading to North Africa now, where Algeria will hold early presidential elections on September 7, 3 months ahead of schedule. This was revealed following a meeting chaired by President Abdelmadjid Tebboune and attended by lawmakers and the army's chief of staff. Tebboune, who turned 79 in November, was elected in December 2019 after pro-democracy protests that broke out in February that year forced longtime President Abdelaziz Bouteflika to step down. The current president has not said if he will seek a second term in office, and there was no immediate explanation on why an early presidential election has been called. In South Africa, the southern part of the continent, South Africa Parliament Speaker Nosiviwe Mafisa Nkalu has taken a special leave following allegations of corruption during her tenure as the Minister of Defense. Nkalu also expressed her willingness to cooperate with law enforcement agencies should they need to arrest her for alleged corruption. She said while she has not received any formal communication from the national prosecuting authorities about the arrest, she will cooperate with the authorities. Earlier this week, the Speaker's home was raided as part of a corruption investigation ordered by the National Prosecution Authority. Now, Mafisa Nkalu has been accused of soliciting 2.3 million rand in bribes from contractors while she was Minister of Defense. And joining me on the news to discuss this further is political analyst Professor Suthelego Mbatsebelebetsi. You're welcome, sir. Good to have you here.
Hi, good day, sir, and welcome to your viewers as well.
Thank you very much. Now, these are very serious allegations. How serious and credible are the corruption allegations that we're hearing of?
No, they're very serious, and they come at a time when South Africa is on the eve of what I would say, yet again, a very fiercely contested election. So I don't think the Hawks or the police would have acted if there was not some form of credible evidence already. Not to say she's guilty, but at least pointing to that some of these allegations warrants an investigation. Because I mean, to go and raid somebody's house, home, somebody such as was so senior, such a key position, not only within the African National Congress, but in our parliament, really tells you that the police are taking these charges and allegations very serious.
So what's the potential impact of these corruption allegations on the reputation of the ANC, the African National Congress?
No, as I've indicated, yet once again, on the eve of an election, whether now she's going to be charged, found guilty or not, that's not a question. The fact of the matter is the issue of corruption has been a huge fundamental challenge in our country, and I will not be surprised if the opposition party, already they've made some pronouncement to say she should be removed from parliament, but yet again that they will want to do some political scores, mileage out of this particular city. But it has the potential to cause huge reputational damage for the African National Congress, an organization that has been bleeding with these kind of allegations, and coming, as I've indicated, from someone who in the past has been serious allegations even during COVID. And as I've indicated, I strongly believe that our opposition parties and even civil society organizations will ask the African National Congress and the government of the day to act against her.
So you're confirming that in the context of the broader corruption issues in South Africa, this is a trend. Is there a pattern of corruption or unethical behavior, especially associated with the speaker herself in the past?
Well, there has been some serious allegations against the speaker during COVID-19, but I'm putting it in the context of corruption in general. Corruption is a huge problem, and I don't think many people realize that that corruption is denying the current generation the future that so many South Africans have lost their life for us to enjoy the kind of democracy that we are currently enjoying in South Africa. So corruption is a huge, huge, huge concern, and you will not want senior people who should actually demonstrate that the party actually means what it preaches in terms of fighting corruption. And yet you find these kind of allegations, very serious, a huge dent on the fight against corruption, on the fight against protecting and enshrining accountability from our public representatives.
So with all the media attention that this issue is getting, how likely is it that these corruption allegations are themselves being used as a political tactic by the ANC, perhaps to project an image of fighting corruption ahead of the coming elections?
Yeah, well, it's going to be very difficult to even start to answer that, but it's always a Kenya politicians are if there are allegations and they had to be charged, that you use this whole narrative to say it's a political witch hunt. I often say if there are prima facie evidence that the case needs to be investigated, then let us allow our law enforcement agencies to do their work. Without all these other things. And I don't think the ANC would want to use this case, in any case, get involved in issues like this. Where they had to get involved is for their integrity committee to take a stance. But we haven't seen this happening in the past. I think they are sleeping. And it's always that they had to be driven to take a decision. I strongly believe in instances such as this, the internal disciplinary machinery of the African National Congress have to be kicked on. And if she is charged, she will have a day in court. And that's where I think the evidence will be tested. For now, we can't talk about a political witch hunt when the issue is about corruption.
Well, thank you very much, Sethlego Mathepeletsi. Britain and Australia have declared the need for an immediate cessation of fighting in Gaza as diplomatic pressure built on Israel to ditch a planned ground assault on the southern city of Rafah. After a meeting of Australian and UK foreign and defence ministers in Adelaide, the Allies issued a statement that stressed the urgency of an immediate cessation of fighting in Gaza to allow aid to flow and hostages to be released. The call came just hours before the United States was expected to put a resolution to the UN Security Council stressing the need for an immediate ceasefire.
Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians are starving. I echo David's comments about the importance of increased humanitarian aid, the need for that for Israel to allow that aid to enter, the importance of fighting to cease to enable that aid to flow.
Now, China says it sees a major difference between Russia and Ukraine on the idea of negotiated settlement to end the war. Beijing's Eurasia envoy Li Hui said Friday after wrapping up a tour. Beijing has sought to position itself as a mediator in the Ukraine conflict, calling for a political settlement and holding several rounds of talk. But while China says it is neutral in the conflict, it has been criticized for refusing to condemn strategic partner Russia for its invasion of Ukraine. Briefing media and diplomats in Beijing after his trip to Russia, Ukraine, and EU states envoy Li said he saw a significant gap between Kiev and Moscow on the subject of peace talks.
各方均坚持自己的立场，对和谈问题的认识差距较大。各方呢都期待中方发挥更大建设性作用，但是呢，都认同最终要通过谈判。
And now let's join our business desk for today's business news.
Welcome to Business News. We begin in Africa's largest economy. The Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee has identified excess cash in circulation as the cause of accelerating inflation in the country. This was discussed during their February meeting, where they noted the growth in money supply and the consequent rise in transactional motives and excess liquidity. The committee members suggested tightening monetary policy by increasing the monetary policy rate. Money supply statistics revealed a significant increase in currency in circulation and currency outside banks, contributing to the excess liquidity. The committee emphasized the need to address this issue to alleviate inflationary pressures. Still in Nigeria, the price of kerosene rose by 0.86% from 1,329 naira 53 kobo to 1,340 naira 94 kobo per litre in February 2024. This is according to the National Bureau of Statistics. This increase coincided with a rise in overall inflation, highlighting the economic pressures faced by Nigerians. Year-on-year, kerosene prices surged by 14.23%, burdening low-income families. Kaduna, Benue, and Niger had the highest average prices, while Bayelsa, Rivers, and Kwara had the lowest. The North Central Zone experienced the highest costs. The average retail price of a gallon of kerosene in February 2024 was 4,880 naira 2 kobo, showing a 24.29% increase compared to the previous year. Rising prices in housing, transportation, and healthcare further strain Nigerians' purchasing power, particularly for those struggling to afford necessities. The Central Bank of Egypt, CBE, achieved a net profit of 73.193 billion Egyptian pounds in February 2024, compared to 80.23 billion pounds in January. This is according to the financial statement of CBE. The total equity of the bank increased to 5.182 trillion pounds in February from 5.107 trillion pounds at the end of January. The bank's capital remained at 21.6 billion pounds, with reserves of approximately 371.328 billion pounds. To East Africa now, President William Ruto has unveiled an ambitious plan to transform Kenya by 2027, aligning with the Vision 2030 Development Blueprint. The plan, known as the Fourth Medium-Term Plan, MTP, covers 2023 to 2027 and incorporates the Bottom-Up Economic Transform Agenda, BETA, and County Integrated Development Plans, CIDPs. The MTP translates the BETA agenda into concrete programs in agriculture, healthcare, housing, and the digital economy. President Ruto outlined interventions including strengthening the judiciary, granting financial autonomy to the Inspector General of Police, and implementing the Hustler Fund. The fourth MTP marks the final 5-year plan of the Kenya Vision 2030. These are the stories we're tracking at this hour on Business News. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
And now sports. Host Ghana came from a goal down, leaving the silver medal for the Falconets of Nigeria in the final of the 2023 All-Africa Games women's football event. Lovett Ede profited from a goalkeeper's blunder in the 23rd minute to give Nigeria a deserved lead. The first half ended 1-0 in favor of Nigeria. However, Ghana Black Princesses drew level in the 78th minute through Tracy Twum to make up for her numerous misses. The winning goal was scored in the 99th minute through Mukarama Abdullahi. It was a superb goal as she fired home from the edge of the box beyond the Nigerian goalkeepers to the delight of the home fans. Ghana thus regained the African Games gold they won in 2015.
There she finds comfort Yaboa. Yaboa wants to shoot. Her effort is blocked, but she stays down. A chance for Ghana. Can Ghana equalize? And that's the equalizer. Ghana have equalized.
And that's all for this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. 16 Nigerian state governors have endorsed the creation of state police. Ugandan President Museveni has named his son as army chief. And we also told you that Algeria is set to hold presidential vote in September. Send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number on your screens now. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, AILO TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Mazino Appeal.